The recent order by President Donald Trump to the Pentagon to resume nuclear weapons testing, ending a 33-year voluntary moratorium, represents one of the most significant and destabilizing shifts in U.S. defense policy since the end of the Cold War. Announced on the eve of a meeting with Chinese leadership during an Asia trip, the move was a deliberate geopolitical statement designed to signal a new, uncompromising era of strategic rivalry. The justification cited was the need for the U.S. to test on an equal basis with Russia and China, framing the decision as a necessary response to perceived or alleged testing activities by those nations. However, this reversal of decades of arms control precedent is widely viewed by experts not as a measure to enhance U.S. security, but as a dangerous and counterproductive provocation. The U.S. has maintained the safety and effectiveness of its nuclear deterrent since 1992 through an advanced, science-based stockpile stewardship program, utilizing high-tech computational simulations and subcritical experiments. Technical experts within the National Nuclear Security Administration, NNSA, have consistently stated that there is no technical requirement for the U.S. to resume full-scale explosive testing, confirming the move is purely political in nature, intended to increase leverage or respond to the development of new Russian systems like the Poseidon underwater drone. The primary and most severe consequence of restarting U.S. nuclear tests is the guaranteed acceleration of the nascent three-way arms race already underway between Washington, Moscow, and Beijing. By shattering the global taboo against explosive testing, a de facto international norm since the 1990s, the U.S. would eliminate the primary restraint on its adversaries. Russia, having already rescinded its ratification of the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty (CTBT) in 2023, would almost certainly follow suit with new tests, citing the American action as justification. Crucially, China, which conducted far fewer tests than the U.S., and Russia during the Cold War, stands to benefit most from a renewed testing environment as it works to rapidly modernize and expand its nuclear arsenal. Testing would allow China to close the technical gap with the U.S., effectively trading a U.S. technical advantage for a global destabilization. This chain reaction would further erode what remains of the arms control architecture, including the rapidly approaching expiration of the New START Treaty, plunging the world back into a period of volatile, unconstrained competition. Furthermore, this decision risks blowing apart the foundation of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT. The NPT relies on the grand bargain that non-nuclear states refrain from acquiring weapons in exchange for a commitment by nuclear powers to eventually disarm and avoid proliferation. When a leading nuclear weapon state demonstrates a willingness to abandon restraint, non-nuclear states, especially those in volatile regions like South Asia, India and Pakistan, or the Middle East, may lose faith in the NPT framework and feel compelled to pursue their own nuclear ambitions to ensure national security. This erosion of global trust is far more detrimental to long-term U.S. security than any perceived technical benefit from a handful of new tests. Beyond geopolitics, there are humanitarian and environmental consequences, as even underground tests carry the risk of radioactive venting, groundwater contamination, and seismic instability in populated areas near test sites. Predicting the immediate outcome, while the order has been given, it faces significant political and logistical hurdles. Reconstituting the necessary infrastructure at the Nevada test site could take years and hundreds of millions of dollars, making an immediate resumption logistically improbable. Furthermore, the decision will meet strong domestic opposition, particularly from Democrats and arms control advocates in Congress, who have already introduced legislation, such as the Restraint Act, to prohibit funding for any explosive nuclear testing. For these reasons, many experts believe a full-scale return to testing is unlikely in the short term. However, the political signaling alone, the threat of testing, has already achieved a destabilizing effect, pushing nuclear competition to its highest point in decades. The most concerning prediction is that the mere readiness to test will become the new minimum standard for all three major powers, cementing a cycle of escalation where mutual suspicion replaces mutual restraint. To reverse this dangerous trajectory, a multi-pronged diplomatic and domestic strategy is required. The U.S. must immediately and unambiguously reaffirm its 3-decade-old moratorium on nuclear explosive testing, thereby restoring international faith in its commitment to non-proliferation norms. Diplomatically, Washington should prioritize pragmatic, risk-reduction dialogue with both Russia and China, seeking common ground on nuclear safety, security, and verification. While securing a new, sweeping arms control treaty is difficult, maintaining adherence to the limits set by New START, even after its expiration, is a feasible interim step. Domestically, Congress must actively utilize its power of the purse to prohibit funding for testing preparations. Fundamentally, global stability depends on the major powers strengthening the non-proliferation regime, bolstering the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, and demonstrating that the most powerful form of strength is the voluntary restraint to not unleash the destructive forces that the world contained decades ago.